They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds, treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake, but the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap, rights rolled back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist, just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God, bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills, stacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright, cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace, and those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. A self-proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. So patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated, liberal dead will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, the animals unite. Liberal dead radio, talk from the left, that's right. Failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But liberal dead will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal dead radio, talk from the left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. Unmasking hypocrisy, the truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. Cause liberal dead will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal dead radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal dead radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We may open up the phone lines in a little bit. When we do, the phone number is 562-LIBDAN1, 562-542-3261. Not open yet, though. We're going to talk about a few things and maybe do a couple reactions to one thing I haven't done in a very long time. I think I did it once, kind of sort of recently, but the Unraveling Toxic Masculinity. I think the most recent published one is like from a year ago. So I was like, all right, we're going to probably do a little bit of that on today's show, but we have other stuff to talk about. Yes, Trucker John, we are on. Good to see you, Trucker John. Yeah, I don't know if you caught the beginning of the previous live stream from tonight, from me doing it from my cell phone, but I pretty much was just about to break down because I've, just everything is just falling apart. And so we're going to try and keep up good spirits or whatever, but today is just, here's a little, I welcome people on the other side of the aisle to call in when I do open up the phone lines, but today is not the day to be shitty to me because I will go off. I will absolutely go off. And some people, like my wife, kind of likes it when I go off on people because, she thinks it's hot. But I'd rather not be upset and angry and whatever. But we'll see. As our stupid bigot president says.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Let's see. Let's say hello. We got the Mod Squad is in the chat. Good to see you, Mod Squad. I got Big Hook from up north in Canada. I got Suzanne. Molly, it's a joy to see you. Let's see. Jackie. John, glad to see you as well. Ba-dum-bum. So, Jeff from just north of Uranus. What else? Janelle. Jackie. A lot of the J Squad's here, so good to see the J Squad in full effect, or in mostly full effect, I don't know. Or Villaby's over there on Twitch. I did go live on YouTube for a brief second with me almost having a little bit of a breakdown, where basically I was like, if this computer dies, I can't have a podcast. Or I'd have to do everything from my phone. Because that's pretty much where I am right now, is if this laptop dies, this new laptop, I'm done. But thankfully, we got it restarted. I ask me what I did. Just rebooted it enough times for it to be like, okay, we're gonna boot normally today. So yeah, not too happy with my laptop right now. My wife's like, why don't you return the piece of crap? And I'm like, well, it's a little bit too late for that. I got it in January. Return window ended in February, and it's now almost August. So odds are I'm not going to be able to get any sort of refund on this, unless there was a credit card protection on the item. Who knows? But so what else? Support the show. Yes, the most important thing to do to support the show is like videos, share, comment on them. If you're amused by anything, share them to your social media pages. It helps. Everything you do that interacts with the video helps the algorithm. And as we all say, Al Gore needs more rhythm. So do me a favor and do that. I should be getting my shirts at some point soon. I know they were just kind of working them together with another order because, she's my sister and, well, she doesn't want to charge me for my shirts, and so I'm not going to be too picky on when I get them, but I'm very much looking forward to both wearing my Al Gore Needs More Rhythm shirt and as well as my FDT. But if you want to buy one of those shirts as well, store.liberaldanradio.com is the way to get there, or the mods will probably share the direct link, but if you just put an HTTP and no S before the store.liberaldan.com, that should get you there without any issue. This is a Lenovo, I think. So I don't think the Lenovo thing, whatever. Good for you, Mike, that you voted for Trump and stand by it. So you're standing by somebody who's being an absolute shit when it comes to immigration. You're supporting somebody who's protecting pedophiles. So good for you. But also other ways to support the show: Venmo, Liberal Dan on Venmo, or go. Just scan the QR code, go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button, or go to buymeacoffee.com/liberaldanradio. Either way will get you there, and you can support the show that way. You can become a patron, patreon.com/liberaldan, or patreon.liberaldan.com. But again, most important thing to do is interact with all of the videos and help grow the algorithm again, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. We got Steve from across the pond.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
Good to see you. So anyway, let's put it on all chat instead of top chat so I don't miss anything. Hey Suzanne, good to see you. I wonder if I missed anything else that was going on. Yeah, ain't technology great? It's grand. So grand. I mean, AI has been fun to play with as it pertains to, you know, all of the Tom Lehrer sort of reimaginings that I've done. And of course, unfortunately, as we talked about on Monday, he passed away over the course of the weekend. Did see Weird Al yesterday. I was kind of sort of hoping that he would do a Tom Lehrer song as his official cover, because like I think on his tour, every single tour he's been doing a cover, and a lot of them has been like China Road from Doobie Brothers. But last night he was like, I was walking around Bourbon Street, walking the French Quarter downtown, and people don't know how to refer to me. Do they call me Mr. Yankovic? Do they call me Weird Al? But here's a song that'll help let you know how to refer to me. And I started laughing immediately before the music even played, because I knew exactly where it was going. And he was saying, if you be my bodyguard, I could be your long lost pal. Do 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 do. I can call you Betty, and Betty, when you call me, you can call me Al. Call me. Anyway, so I know you didn't sign up to watch me and listen to me sing much, but you know, it was definitely an entertaining, amusing concert, whatever. And of course, they also played my go-to karaoke song, "One More Minute." And he was like, "Sorry guys, this song is for the ladies." And he did that on another concert I went to for him, and it was a completely different song, but this time they did "One More Minute," and I'm always happy when he does "One More Minute," because, you know, it's not a parody, it's just his own song that he wrote, and again, it's my go-to when it comes to singing karaoke. So, yes, Steve, thank you for answering that. It is a laptop that I'm using, not a desktop. So, good to see you, Lucky Minute. Teresa's in the chat. Good to see you, Teresa. Thank you for joining. P-Dubs is in the chat. Good to see you as well. Thank you for joining on. If you watched earlier on, you might have seen my almost near nervous breakdown, but you know, hey, we're back. We're normal. I just took a couple of big gulps of water and just decided to muscle through it and get back on the air, because, you know, it is what it is. Thank you, pedophile. At least that's what everybody thinks that you are, because for some reason you're not releasing the Epstein files when you claim that they were, and your AG told you that it was on your desk. But hey, you know, go figure. And it's amazing, because they're actually talking about like polling data, and Donald Trump, my polling is the best polling. I've went up 4 points from what? The basement, the cellar. Your Donald Trump's approval rating's at like 30-something%. 60% of the nation disapproves with how he's dealing with the Epstein files, and like 90+% of everybody, be they independent voters, Democratic voters, or Republican voters, all want to see the damn files. This is a unforced error of Donald Trump's own creation, and he is, you know, to hear like Joe Rogan say things like this is a line in the sand, and to have to actually watch and listen to Joe Rogan is like, you know, annoying in and of itself. But you know, the fact that, you know, Joe Rogan's turning on him, he says this is a line in the sand. You had a whole panel of you know, comedians who were sitting up there, all dude bros, talking about how one of them even said he was protecting other pedophiles, implying that he was believing that he was a pedophile, or is a pedophile, I guess, because I guess you never stop being one. I don't know. I mean, I guess there is only one time where one stops being a pedophile, and that's when one shifts off this mortal plane, if you will. So, hey, P-Dub started your own stream. That's awesome. Glad to see that you're getting involved. And you know, I will absolutely hype up your show as well. Hype up your stream. Just let us know. Send me an email, and I'll make sure to get the link and disseminate it everywhere. See, I mean, I think it's a Lenovo. It might be more of a gaming laptop than it was than a ThinkPad. I don't know, but yeah, this whole thing is crap. Anyway, not happy about having to deal with all this shite, as one might say if one was living across the pond. So while I didn't have time to pull up the videos or the whatchamacallit, the articles that I wanted to talk about when it came to all of Donald Trump's ways that he's screwing over people as it pertains to, his deportations. Because, let's say, we'll start talking about it in a second. Let's just pull up the other thing. All right. Interesting. That did not load. Why did that not load? I don't know. There we go. I think there's the better article. Anyway, that's the article I was originally looking at the other day. Gotta drive and listen. Well, drive safely, Josh. So I currently have 2 T450s and 2 T480s. Nice. I say politics and whatever, plus I might sing a song or two. Woman after my own heart, right? Anyway. So, I think we talked about this a little bit on the last show, or at least somebody at least brought it up, but I didn't have all the facts on it to discuss what was going on. But again, Donald Trump and his sycophants, the people who still support him and his immigration policies, will try and make the argument that, oh, he's only going after people who are here in violation of our border policies, or as they would say, they're going after the illegals. Nobody is illegal. No person is illegal. I mean, you may commit a crime, but it doesn't make you an illegal person. And it's very dehumanizing to refer to people that way. But then again, I would also say that, these people, don't view the migrants as humans or as people to begin with. These are the same these people, if they were alive in the, back in the formation of the country, probably would have argued that 3/5 of a compromise is too much of a compromise, that it should have been like 1/5, if not nothing. That's how these people feel. So, according to Cruise Law News, this is where this article's from, U.S. Customs and Border Protection forcibly deports 18 Filipinos from the Carnival Sunshine without disclosing evidence. Multiple news sources are reporting that U.S. Customs and Border Protection recently deported at least 18 Filipino crew members from the Carnival Sunshine in Norfolk, Virginia. The ship employees reportedly were not provided the opportunity to retain legal counsel, but were forcibly detained and taken from the Carnival cruise ship in handcuffs and then deported to the Philippines, in violation of the Supreme Court 9-0 ruling that says that everybody who is detained to be deported has the right to have an attorney, has the right to have due process, has the right to file a writ of habeas corpus. This is a lawless president. This president gives no crap about the laws of our land. Even Alito and Thomas said that people who are migrants, who are detained for deportation, need to be able to challenge them. They need to be given a reasonable amount of time to challenge it, and they're not doing this. Several news stations initially reported that the crew members were not provided with an explanation of why they were deported. Subsequent sources indicate that CBP accused the men of possessing child pornography. This is coming from the administration that's being led by somebody who's protecting pedophiles. The irony is rich here, folks. CBP did not present the employees with any evidence in support of this serious accusations. None of these crew members were arrested. Whenever a crew member is arrested, the arresting officers would be required to file probable cause affidavits establishing detailed factual information supporting the basis for the arrests and the criminal charges filed against the men. Since the crew members were deported and not arrested, no affidavits were filed, so they didn't have to prove their case in court. Again, the Supreme Court of this land said that the Constitution of this land, i.e. the law of the land, the ultimate extreme authority on what laws are and what our rights are, has said that, everybody gets due process, all persons. It doesn't matter if you're here legally or not. It doesn't matter if you're whatever. You get to have due process. But these people are being denied due process. But the Trump administration is basically doing exactly what I said it would do a while ago, which is they are going to challenge the authority of the courts. They are not going to listen to rulings that they don't agree with. They're going to continue acting in a lawless way and basically saying, what are you going to do? Because how are they going to arrest somebody? Pam Bondi's in charge of the frickin' Justice Department, who's in control of the marshals. How is a court going to go put somebody in contempt? How is a court going to go lock somebody up? Pam Bondi already said at one of the more recent cabinet meetings that she would not comply with any such contempt orders. Readers of this blog are well aware of my strong belief that crew members and cruise ship passengers who possess or transmit child pornography should be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Absolutely, because here's the thing. If there's anybody of those 18 people who had possession of child pornography on them, like, if you arrest them and prosecute them under the law, guess what? You can then have, discovery. You can find out things like, where are they obtaining this child pornography? Who recorded? Where they get it from? Maybe go after other people who are helping to disseminate the child pornography to people. That would be a smart thing to do. That would be the way to protect children. But these people aren't worried about protecting children. These people aren't worried about only going after the worst of the worst. These people in this administration and who run ICE and who are in ICE are just a bunch of bigoted racists who are just going to use their position of authority to get rid of as many non-white folks as possible. This blogger goes on to say, with that said, I also believe the U.S. Constitution and the rights and protections afforded thereafter, including the right to counsel, Miranda rights, due process, and equal protection of the law. I'm greatly troubled what appears to be the lawless activities of U.S. federal customs and immigration officers who have engaged in mass deportations and of unrepresented Filipino crew members based on unsubstantiated accusations. Federal immigration officers first confronted around 18 to 20 Carnival crew members on the Sunshine at the port of Norfolk in late March and April. Agents reportedly told them they allegedly found evidence of child porn on all of the workers' computers. A representative of a Filipino advocacy group said they did not come with a shred of evidence, no formal charges or nothing. When confronted with the allegations, many of the workers willingly handed over their phones to try and clear their names. The crew members were initially released from detention, but were then accused last week, but not charged with possession of child pornography. All of the Filipino crew members were working with a valid C1/D seaman visas, which CBP said were now canceled. They are also now banned for 10 years from re-entry into the United States. So not only have they taken away these people's liberty, not only did they not protect their rights as protected under our Constitution, they've screwed up their ability to actually earn a living. Advocacy groups protested the illegal abductions. These crew members are dedicated parents and spouses with exemplary backgrounds, having passed rigorous background checks to obtain work visas. Their abrupt removal, accompanied by cancellation of their visas and shocking 10-year ban from re-entry, has inflicted deep humiliation, plunging their families into dire financial straits. Of course, the Trump administration is never going to care about that because they're all pieces of shit. Advocacy groups stated the immigration raid reflects a disturbing national trend that has seen other crew members deported under similar false pretenses despite their valid visas and lack of criminal charges. Unlike previous cases where there was evidence of prosecution, none of the workers on the Carnival Sunshine had been charged with anything, a representative of the advocacy group said. They continued, what we think there is actually no evidence. Border Patrol's new focus on deporting immigrants has instilled fear and apprehension in tens of thousands of hardworking crew members. One advocacy group said the remaining crew members are left in fear of being the next victim of aggressive actions. Is he going to put the entire cruise industry out of business? Because, I've been on cruises before. I know very well that there are a lot of persons who work for cruise ships or work on cruise ships who are, just trying to work hard and make a living. And now what are they going to do? They're just going to... No one's going to want to work for a cruise ship because they're not going to think it's worth the risk to work a cruise ship if the Border Patrol is just going to fabricate evidence, because until it's proven otherwise, the evidence is fabricated, because the onus of and the responsibility of proving a crime happened is on the federal government. So and people are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Therefore, I'm going to just posit that all of this claims that there was child pornography out there are completely and 100% absolutely fabricated until proven otherwise. And if proven otherwise, hell, I'll go ahead and say a mea culpa, but I firmly believe that I'm not going to have to do that because, again, this administration is full of pieces of shit. Every single one of them in this administration. And his current supporters still. Because fuck them. There's no reason to continue to support this. There's no reason to continue to support the actions of this lawless administration run by a 34-time convicted felon. But that's not all, folks. That's not all in the news as it pertains to this administration and dealing with people and deporting people for bullshit reasons. A Korean PhD student was detained by immigration authorities at San Francisco's airport despite a green card, lawyers said. A green card holder from South Korea who has lived in the United States since the age of 5 was taken into government custody by immigration authorities at San Francisco's International Airport. Last Monday, Nakasek has said he received a call to their immigration hotline from a family member of Will Kim, stating that he had been taken into Customs and Border Protection custody. Kim has been a green card holder since 2011 and has lived in the U.S. for 35 years since the age of 5 when his family emigrated from South Korea legally. His mother is a U.S. citizen. He is currently pursuing a PhD at Texas A&M with an emphasis on creating a vaccine for Lyme disease. Now, maybe that's why they don't like it, because he's creating a vaccine, and RFK Jr. doesn't like vaccines. He doesn't believe that there are any vaccines that are safe. And if he wants to challenge me and say that he's never said that, he said it, and we'll provide the evidence of him saying exactly those words. Kim, according to his lawyers, had departed the country for 2 weeks to attend a wedding of his brother in South Korea. His case was taken on by pro bono immigration attorney Eric Lee, who said he faced difficulties in reaching his client to speak with him, as well as getting answers from the federal government. Lee told ABC News he was finally able to talk to a supervisor at the Border Patrol facility at San Francisco's airport on Saturday. In what he described was a hostile conversation. Lee said the official told him it was not true that Kim had the right to speak to a lawyer, and that it was his policy. Lee said he asked for the official if the Constitution applied to his client, and the person said no. Lee said the Constitution applies to everybody here. The Constitution even applies to people who have, everybody is protected by the Constitution. I don't care if you're a criminal or not. Lee said that they were not told the reason for Kim's detention. In a statement, CBP pointed to a past drug charge. His lawyer told ABC News that the statement was the first time they learned of the pretext of the detention. According to Lee, Kim was charged with possession of a small amount of marijuana in 2011. 14 years ago. But he had fulfilled community service. He did his time or whatever he needed to do for the crime of having a little bit of weed on you. His lawyer was unclear of Kim's immigration status at the time of the crime. If a green card holder is convicted of a drug offense violating their status, that person is issued a notice to appear, and CBP coordinates detention space with ICE, ERO, or whatever. This alien is in ICE custody pending removal proceedings. Describing the condition of his client's detention, Lee said his client was held without access to sunlight, had to sleep in a chair, was held in a room where the lights were continuously on, and was given airport concessions to eat. His lawyer alleges messages sent to Kim's phone by family members were responded to by CBP staff, which should in and of itself be illegal. His lawyer also expressed concern about Kim's asthma and said he was unsure if he had access to medication. Of course he won't, because, again, they don't give a shit. Kim's lawyer, Lee, pointed out that CBP guidelines said that detainees should not be held in airport facilities for more than 72 hours. Will has spent double that. So, and if they knew about his drug charge from 14 years ago, i.e. during the Obama administration, why the frick didn't Donald Trump do anything about it in his first term, huh? No, he didn't do anything about it in his first term. They had plenty of time to deal with that. But he did. He served his time by doing community service, by having a little bit of weed on him, or whatever. There was no reason to deport this person, except for the fact that, again, he's not white. And this administration, when they say they want to make America great again, they really want to make America white again. And when they talk about America, they're not talking about the United States of America. They're talking about the Confederate States of America. Because that's where these people would find a home, is the Confederacy. Because they're a bunch of racist asshats who have no business serving in government, because the only people that they serve in government is themselves. They're not serving the people that they elected. Hell, even his own supporters are mad at him again because he's a pedophile protector, not releasing any of the Epstein files. But what do you think? Agree, disagree? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and unless you support this idiot, racist, bigot, anti-Semitic president, have a good day. I know I usually don't stop the videos like that anymore, but still, what the hell? Why not? Thank you, Sue, for the comment. Let's see, P-Dubs, wow, my brother had a heart attack last week. His doctor said it was a widowmaker. He's doing well and says he's feeling better. Well, thank you so much. Or thank you so much for your doctors of your brother who apparently, I guess, took care of him well enough so that the widowmaker did not make widows, did not off him or whatever. Anyway, let's go back and see anything else. Jeff Gray eating dinner. We all know that means that's clue for whiskey shots. Nice. Do a whiskey drink, do a vodka drink, do a lager drink, do a cider drink. Let's see. What else? No due process, just to deportation to please Stephen Miller. Exactly. And look, what pisses me off, I think, one of the things that pisses me off the most, well, let's record this one again, because why not? One of the things that pisses me off a lot, or the most, or the group of people that piss me off the most, I think, as it pertains to supporting these racist, bigoted policies, are the people that are doing it who also happen to be Jewish. I'm a Jewish person. Jewish people should know the importance of not being a bigot. Jewish people should understand why these actions by this administration are not just criminal, but are Nazi-esque. Nobody should have to explain to any single solitary Jewish person that this is wrong, and that's continued support of this president is wrong. But there are too many of us, not me, but there are too many of us who will sit there and complain about, like, Mamdani because he says some words that you didn't like. Look, I don't like the words that Mamdani used either when it came to globalizing the Intifada. Fine, I didn't like those words, but I do think that Mamdani, if elected mayor, is somebody who is more likely to listen to his constituents who happen to be Jewish than Donald Trump is, especially when Donald Trump called people frickin' Shylocks, who are corrupt bankers, and didn't even apologize when informed that his use of that term is anti-Semitic. So, any Jewish person who is continuing to support this president probably has ancestors that are rolling in their graves right now, if they even have graves because of, you know, what happened during the Holocaust. So, and I would dare anybody who happens to be a fellow person of the tribe, if you, when I open up the phone lines later, absolutely call in and I will set you the heck straight. Because there's no reason for anybody who is in any sort of marginalized and oppressed class to continue to support this racist, felon, pedophile protector. Not one. Latinos for Trump, bunch of dumbasses. Jews for Trump, bunch of dumbasses. Black people for Trump, a bunch of dumbasses. Hell, white people for Trump are also a bunch of dumbasses, but y'all aren't marginalized and oppressed, and as such, y'all don't feel as much. And here's the thing, is that, you know, you shouldn't have to feel it personally to understand that this is wrong. You should just be able to pick up a goddamn history book. Unfortunately, not enough of these history books are made as coloring books, because that's what some of these idiots need, apparently, to learn something, if they're even capable of learning anything. Because as history shows, they're clearly not capable of learning anything. We pissed off enough yet? Am I pissed off enough yet? Let's see, he had an angioplasty, stent was put in, they sent him home the very next day. That's pretty good. Although the word stent still gives me the heebie-jeebies because of the other stent that I had. Not in my heart, but in my ureter from, you know, the other week. Ugh. Let's see. You love the Teletubbies. Which one is your favorite? Tinky Winky? Chad, I like coloring books. And I'm sorry, Chad, I do want to apologize to you. I didn't have a lot of time today to deal with how could a liberal and a conservative be friends, because I had a lot of time this morning and this afternoon trying to fix a problem with my work computer, because my personal computer is not the only one that's screwed up. My work computer couldn't connect to a file for the Git repository, if you know what that is. If you don't, I'm not going to explain it, but it's just important for programming or whatever, to storing your data. And I couldn't actually make a connection to that file, and as such, I was not able to create the repository to be able to, branch off the code properly. Yeah, that was fun this afternoon. And then I have to deal with the fact that the hospital, I talked about this a little bit more as well, but the hospital is like, still, not processing all of the charges, all of the claims that came due. Like there were 30 something, my estimated cost of my procedure for the kidney stone removal was like $32,000 as the cash amount. But the allowable amount was like $6,000 and change. And my share, the 20%, would have been $1,200, which would have brought me to my maximum out of pocket for the family. But they haven't processed. They haven't even processed the vast majority of those claims yet for the procedures that took place on the 17th. To have them be processed. And now I have the people for my knee surgery saying that I need to prepay them or on the day of the surgery, even though I should be at my max out of pocket and shouldn't have to pay anything else for the rest of the year. So I'm going to have to come up with another, at this point, 900 something bucks, just under $1,000, because I'm keep whittling away at that max out of pocket. I'm going to have to come out with that money and then wait for them to reimburse me. This is why we need public health care and not private health care. At least this is why we need public health insurance, or Medicare for all, or Medicaid for all. That's why we need that. Although we won't get it under Trump, because he's just trying to dismantle Medicaid and all the other parts that are important to our healthcare system. But, as our pedophile protector-in-chief says,
it is what it is.
Screw you, Donald. Yes, pricing for medical treatment is absolutely outrageous, Molly. Absolutely. Chat GPT for the win for what, Chad? I mean, ChatGPT for the win. I mean, I didn't use ChatGPT to come up with the lyrics for the Tom Lehrer stuff. That was a different AI program or whatever. And it's outrageous, and it's not even like truly outrageous like Gem, like the good kind of outrageous. Like it's it's the bad type of outrageous. Big Hook, exactly. Universal health care is necessary. Yes, it is. And you would know because you live in an area that has universal health care. So, only reason my wife doesn't want to move to Canada is because the cold does not react well with her psoriasis, and, well, she doesn't want to go live in the cold. For as cold as Canada can be, I guess. Unless, I don't know, I know Seattle can be more kind of rainy instead of cold. Is British Columbia more temperate than the rest of the country? I don't know. So, yes, Gem is truly, truly outrageous. Exactly, Lucky Minute. Let's see. I use it to help me fix my Pine script errors. The problem is that the people I work for are not going to want AI to assist with a lot of the stuff. They're for as progressive as my workplace is, they're very slow to adapt AI. And they are implementing some things AI to be able to look for, to be able to have a nice conversation and be able to find the information that you're trying to look for instead of having to just type in the words or whatever. So they're already implementing that, I guess. But again, I don't think they want me writing code in AI. But it wasn't even an AI issue. And then the rest of the afternoon, I was trying to deal with another issue that had nothing to do with any of the programs that I'm responsible for, because it's a more general security problem, we think. So, and then I was like, oh, let me go upstairs a little early today, about 7, just to make sure that I can see if I can fix any problem that's going on with my headset, my earbuds. And instead of dealing with the earbud issue, I had to deal with a blue screen of death issue. Multiple blue screens of death. So, if you ever visit Vancouver, you will change her mind. I mean, I've been to Vancouver, but I just never went to Vancouver with her. I think I cruised out of Vancouver once. That was nice. So, have you played with ChatGPT at home? It's quite crazy how good it is, and then you can just use it to fix its own errors. That's the problem, is when it actually starts programming by itself. That's going to be the issue with ChatGPT, is when it becomes self-aware. But yeah, I have used ChatGPT for other things. I mean, ChatGPT came up with almost all of the lyrics for baby incubators. because all I did was plug in a chorus. I plugged in the chorus. Like, this is the chorus of the song that I want you to make, dealing with these issues. Write me a song. And it went hard, as we all have heard, because I played it to start the show. I've played it several times. And if you haven't heard it yet, it's on my Liberal Dan created songs playlist or whatever. So you can go watch that there. Now, of course, the other songs that I've done, like all the Tom Lehrer stuff, he created the lyrics. I used a different AI software or website or whatever to create the songs for that. Anyway. Let's see. Best weather in Canada, best food in Canada, really good transit system. Nice. I mean, I don't know if I could move up there as somebody who works at the job that I work at. I think the main headquarters of my employer is in New Orleans. And while there are people who work across the country, I don't know if they would want me working in Canada or not. I don't know. We'll see. So use it to write something when you have some free time. It'll make you realize quickly how fast things are going to change in industries. Probably. Here's the thing, and that's one of the things that people need to take into consideration, because one of the main differences I find between many conservatives and many people on the left is, the concern about what happens if we hit a post-scarcity era. What happens when everything is automated? What happens when everything, we need fewer and fewer employees, when we can do almost everything robotically or automatically with some sort of tech, and you need fewer and fewer humans, maybe just some to be there to fix the issues that go on, maybe some to just kind of oversee things. But, what happens when, we can get rid of 90% of the workforce? To me, the conservative argument would be, well, we're going to get rid of 90% of the workforce, i.e. that they're going to get rid of them, and they're not going to worry about making sure that they're fed or have health care or have a place to live. If they can't, to me, if the conservative mindset would be, if you can't find a way to make it in the new economy, then screw you, you're SOL. But in the future that the leftists want, i.e. the Star Trek future, when we're in a post-scarcity society, we want to make sure that everybody has everything that they need to live, and that people can choose to work and choose to make other things or whatever, but that nobody's going to have to starve to death or die because they can't get medical treatment, because, that should be made available to every single person here. Every single person alive, I should say. But, again, it's a huge difference between conservatism and liberalism. Conservatism, leftism. The only solution I can think of is some type of UBI funded by the AI group's profits. Well, everybody's profits, though. It's not necessary to be a billionaire. Granted, a lot of people's billions are all, frozen up in assets or whatever. But there's, when we were taxed, and I use this begrudgingly, because when we were taxed at 90-something%, we had a booming economy. But what could be written off as income was also different then as well. You could, if you were had lots of loans, you could write off every single dollar of interest that you paid towards those loans. So, but yeah, I fully support a UBI. That we should absolutely have a UBI, and that would not only make it so that everybody can survive, but it should also make it. It would also make it so that individual workers could be like, what? I don't have to settle for this wage right now, so now you have to pay me what my labor is actually worth to you, instead of paying the lowest common denominator just because you can. So that's, I don't know, I think Rose hopped up here and got some extra cat hair on me. I mean, Rose was up here for a very brief second, but, I think she was just very hairy today. I don't know. Steve, would you like to play a nice game of chess? And here's an interesting thing. I've been playing a lot of chess on chess.com recently or whatever, just on the app or whatever. And I fluctuate between, playing strangers. I'll go up to 700, then I'll drop down to 550. It's half the time I'm sleepy and I make a dumb move or something. But there's a trend I've been seeing on TikTok where people will take pictures of a chessboard and be like, this is impossible to figure out, mate in one. And I'm like, You just move your king over here, and that's checkmate. Like, why? Like, if you were somebody who is creating chess content and you think that that was a impossible or difficult move, then go play checkers. I understand that there are people who are not making chess content who might very well not know that what move to make to get checkmate and won, but still, if you're trying to make content, I mean, I know what they're doing. They're doing it to rage bait people. They're doing it to be like, oh, this is such a hard move, no one will ever do it. Then everybody's like, of course it's not hard, it's easy. It's very easy. This is the move. And then they get hits and views, and their algorithm is helped. So, is that what I have to do to get my algorithm helped? Do I need to just create a bunch of bullshit? I mean, I don't want to be somebody who just does, who just posts all a bunch of crap just to draw people in, and make them all enraged at me because I'm posting stupid shit. But I don't know. Let's see. Competition breeds excellency and capitalism is competition. I disagree. I disagree with the fact that excellency can be created without any competition. You can be excellent in something without competition. You don't need to have competition to be excellent. You don't need competition to be a good worker. And capitalism, the goal of many corporations is not to have competition, because competition is good for the consumer. But the corporations want a monopoly. They don't want competition. They want to drive all of their people out of the industry, all of their competitors out of the industry, so they can be the only one, or maybe the only few, if they need a few to be able to handle these sort of things. And then, guess what? Smaller businesses can't compete because of economies of scale, and you have to the amount of money that you would have to spend to break into the industry makes it so that it would be inefficient for you to try to do so, which protects the monopolies. So, and capitalism is constantly trying to not have competition for, amongst the employees. They're competing against each other for stock prices, because they want to try and be the most attractive stock price so they can get more investors, which helps drive their stock price up, which helps drives their retirement income, up as well. Because that's the main goal of capitalism. It's to promote capital. It's not to promote goodness and well-being amongst the workers. I mean, you wouldn't have the pizza party memes of, oh, we did so great this year when it comes to how we're growing as a business. We're going to throw a pizza party for everybody at the end of the day. Woohoo. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you. What's up, Tim? Yes, meltdown recovery. Exactly. I was melting down a good bit. I did drink a bunch of water before I went live because, I was very teary-eyed or whatever. This is true, but groundbreaking things always get brought to the forefront, and capitalism feeds innovation. But is it? What about the funding of, the creation of pharmaceutical drugs? Many of the pharmaceutical companies will only do it because they are funded by the government. The government will fund the research. Because there's absolutely no money. As Chris Rock said, there's no money in the cure. The money is in the treatment. Under his thing, how you doing? Took an AIDS test, passed it, got a 65. I got AIDS, but that's okay because I took some Robitussin and everything's better. Because at some point in time, I guess, Robitussin will be used to treat everything. Put Motussin on it. Anyway. But then what the pharmaceutical companies do and what government allows them to do, which they shouldn't do, is they just allow them, they'll tweak the medicine by one molecule. They're like, oh, it's a completely new medicine, so let's give us a new patent and then we can have that for 20 years too. So, no, I'm still going to push back on the idea that innovation or capitalism is feeding innovation. Because when the federal government is feeding capitalism to innovate, no, it's socialism at that point that's feeding innovation. It's the taking of our tax dollars and giving it to a company so that the company can develop it. And then we allow the company who develops it to make all the profits, and we give them tax breaks. And then we kiss their asses, and then people have to suffer. And there's other conditions like celiac disease, psoriasis. Psoriasis is an example of a disease that, I mean, they do come out with some medicines now for how to treat psoriasis, but I mean, when fewer and fewer people have it, there's no desire for the big pharmaceutical companies to innovate because they don't see a return on that investment. But the federal government, on the other hand, might see a benefit for investigating and researching into how to save people, regardless of how many people you're saving, simply because of the fact that it's the right thing to do. So there may be circumstances, absolutely, where capitalism breeds innovation, like, say the gaming industry. If not gambling gaming, but like, board games, video games, that sort of thing. If you make a crap video game, people aren't going to want to buy it. Or if you make a video game and somebody else makes a better video game, then that person's going to start getting the market share. So you're going to have to create another video game to compete with them. That's the sort of thing where innovation absolutely can breed new, better products for the consumers who might want to use it. But it's also an example of, something that's not necessarily a necessity. And there are plenty of other things that don't need innovation, that just need, distribution to be able to get it to the people. Electricity. Why? I mean, maybe you want innovation for, like, if you are trying to develop the next best green energy, but of course, half this country is afraid of green energy for some stupid reason. But if we, like, one of the things before Texas had their, I don't know if meltdown is the right way to put it, their freeze, where power went out everywhere and it was, a fustercluck. I used to support the idea of not having private industry run the infrastructure that delivers power. That if you want to develop power, great, but then some of the charges for that infrastructure should be paid through your bill, but then paid to the government or some non-government organization that's not for profit, that's going to sit there and is going to maintain and upkeep the power grid so that the people that want to sell electricity on that power grid can do so. But when you allow the power companies to be in control of everything, then they're going to make the decisions on, like, for example, whose lines they fix based off of how profitable it is to do so. And they'll save the peons for very last. So Chad goes, in my opinion, the problem is lobbyists. Well, lobbyists absolutely is a problem. There's plenty of problems that come with lobbyists altogether. But I'm not going to say it's the only problem. It is a problem, but it's not the only problem. I agree that the pharmaceutical companies is a weak point in my argument. It's a completely fucked system. Well, there we go. At least we can find a point of agreement on that, right, Chad? Let's see. Oh, that's right. We wanted to bring up that other thing, too. There's another thing to talk about because we now have the map. So here, let's see. Let's bring this over here. First draft of the lower chamber's new redistricting map targets Texas Democratic members in Congress in Austin, Dallas, and Houston metro areas and in South Texas. Texas GOP lawmakers released their first draft of the state's new congressional map on Wednesday, proposing revamped district lines that attempt to flip Democratic seats in next year's midterm elections. The new map targets Democratic House members in Austin, Dallas, and Metro. The draft, unveiled by State Representative Todd Hunter, Republican from Corpus Christi, will likely change before the final map is approved by both chambers. Democrats have said they might try to thwart the process by fleeing the state. So by preventing them from getting a quorum, but they're not going to care. They don't care about procedure anymore. They don't care about process, or as our friends up north would say, process. They don't care about process. They only care about keeping control because they can't win on ideas. And they know that every single time in the midterms that the party in power loses seats, even though the last time under Biden, it happened much to much lower drastic amount than it happened in all the other times, previously at least. But currently Republicans hold 25 of Texas's 38 House seats. Trump carried 27 of those districts in 2024, including those won by Henry Cuellar of Laredo and Vicente Gonzalez of McAllen. Under the proposed new lines, 30 districts would have gone to Trump last year, each by at least 10 percentage points. So again, instead of 25 seats, you're going to have 30 seats. And this is the proposed level of victory. Again, if you have to draw lines to win because you can't win ideas, then your ideas suck. Your ideas absolutely suck, and you should be ashamed and embarrassed of yourself for not doing anything that the people who elected you wanted to have done. And they're probably mad. They probably understand the fact that they're going to probably lose votes because a lot of these people in Texas, a lot of the people, who voted for Trump, absolutely want to see the Epstein files. And they're going to be very mad. A lot of these people, especially in these really bright red areas, are going to be very pissed off at Donald Trump and the House of Representatives for not giving them what they voted for. They wanted to see the Epstein file list. Now, of course, the reason they thought they would see the Epstein file list, Epstein client list, and they thought it would be, good for them because they believed the lie that it was only going to be Democrats. It was only going to be exposed as Democrats. But now, they understand that they are in trouble, and the only way to get themselves out of trouble, there's multiple ways to get yourself out of trouble in this thing. Well, one of them is making sure that the client list gets released. But then again, Texas's neighbor Louisiana, the Speaker of the House, Speaker Johnson, he sent everybody home so that he didn't have a vote on whether or not this information should be released or not, and then lied about it because they claimed that this, that the Ro Khanna and whatever is legislation that would have released the files would have released the names of victims and would have released child pornography, which is all a bunch of crap. It's not true. They've changed and whatever wording they thought might have caused that to make it better. But, this president is a pedophile protector at worst, or at best, and at worst, he's protecting himself by not having it released. And he's been told by various sources that he's on the list, which is why he's now saying it's a lie. He's now saying it's a hoax. He's now saying all this crap. So, P-dubs, do you think Trump will try and run for a third term if he's still with us? Abso-fucking-lutely he will, because he doesn't give a crap about the law. He's going to challenge them. He's going to see whether or not states will allow him to run, and he doesn't need to run in all 50 states. He only needs to run in the red states, and has to hope that the secretaries of state of those red states will be like, okay, you can run, and not argue with it, because there'll be those secretaries of state and the governors will be too afraid to oppose Donald Trump if he says that he feels that he's owed a third term. Now, hopefully, natural causes will come along its merry way and solve that problem for us, but then we'd have to believe that the Supreme Court would actually do something, and then we'd have to believe that he would actually listen to the Supreme Court. At that point, you're going to get what that Connor guy wanted from that Mehdi Hassan roundtable thing or whatever it is that they did. And, they're just going to support autocracy. And then we're going to just, we won't have a country anymore. Donald Trump always says if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. Well, if you don't have laws that are followed, if you don't follow the traditions of our country, which is, abiding by the rules of the court, then we don't have a country either. Or the country that we have is different from the one that the Constitution intended. So, see, my worry is the next time he brings ICE to January 6th. I mean, according to the Supreme Court, the Democrats could very well have said this person, Donald, the power to determine whether or not the Electoral College was done properly is with the Congress. Now, but you need to have enough votes in the Congress to be able to stand up and say, look, this is why this is bad. This is why we can't let this happen. And if you vote a Republican congressman again. So it's up to the people of this country. And more specifically, it's up to any Republican who thinks yourself still a good person. You need to come out and you need to, en masse, vote against the Republican Party if you have any desire to fix your own damn party. Or we just need to have a third party pop up, or form a third party and just have those votes get split so the Democrats get more votes anyway. However y'all want to do it, it's fine, as long as it doesn't, as long as it takes power away from the Republican Party, especially as it currently stands. So, see, the running tab for all of Trump's golfing is $65 million so far. Yep. But he's going to save us money. Because Doge didn't account for golfing funds. So, Roxanne, his mind will have turned to mush by then. His mind is already mush. I mean, we've heard him speak. We know what he sounds like. So, and yes, this Congress is absolutely walking in lockstep. I didn't have enough time to really dive deep. I wanted to, but again, all the problems I had today. I didn't have enough time to dive deep into Cory Booker's rant on the Senate floor. But we need more Cory Bookers in this world. More people who are going to stand up and not take any shit from these Republicans. So maybe he was just doing that to be, to set himself up to be a presidential run in 2028. Who knows? So, Tim, I have it on good authority that Trump is going to buy Dan a new laptop in about 2 weeks. You know what? The only reason that Donald Trump would buy me or anybody else who is a leftist podcaster, leftist media type person, the only reason he would send us the laptop is if he could, put nefarious stuff on it and then be like, oh, look, he has child porn on his laptop, take him away. So I would never accept a new laptop from Donald Trump. Not one bit. Not at all. You can kiss my ass on that one. I'd rather not have a show. No, I want to keep this laptop happy. Very nice laptop, good laptop. Just pet it. I like Cory Booker, but it's a lot of performance. But sometimes you need performance to rally up the base. So, what else? Lucky minute. Only 40% is eligible voters. Only 40% is eligible voters and are registered in Texas. That's the other thing too, is that how Texas draws maps, right? We discussed this on Monday too. They take resident aliens who are not voters, and they push them into the districts to enable Republicans to be able to have leads to water down the rest of the vote. So, you could have, 40, 30, and 30 or something like that. 40% Republican, 30% Democrat, 30% non-voter. And they could just draw those people into the district to make it in such a way that the Republicans can always win and the Democrats will never win. But the Republicans are busy whining and crying and whinging and complaining about the one seat in Louisiana that, should exist. Oh, because it was drawn on racial lines. Well, Louisiana is 33% black. Why wouldn't 33% of its congressional representation be black as well? Or at least Democrat, someone who the black people might want to vote for. But again, just like that Connor frickin' dude, that idiot, on that little roundtable thing, he fully believes in changing the laws to benefit him, but he doesn't support other people changing the laws to benefit them because they believe in rule by iron fist. So let's see. So are they going to blame Bill Clinton for all the Epstein scandals? Well, they'll probably try, but here's the thing: shockingly, for some reason, the people aren't buying it. The conservatives are like, we don't buy it on this particular one, especially the people who are, like the Joe Rogans of the world, who helped get Donald Trump elected and who are now like, this is bullshit. The people are listening to them, those creators, and are like, oh, well, yeah, he has a point. But we could have told you all this years ago, but y'all don't want to listen because y'all don't want to vote for the black woman. So, Tim, it won't happen, but my choice would be Kamala Harris in 28 with Swalwell as VP. I don't think you can. Someone would have to move, I think, unless I have the state wrong. California 14. Yeah, I don't think you can have a president and a vice president be living in the same state. That's why like Dick Cheney had to move to like Wyoming or something, because both Dick Cheney and George W. Bush were from Texas. So Dick Cheney had to move or something to Wyoming and set up residency there, so you wouldn't have two people from the same state, because that's a silly law. So let's see, Roxanne, he will be included in the what about arguments. He already is being included in the what about arguments, but those are failing because everyone's like, well, what about Bill Clinton? If Bill Clinton's on the list, we're like, good, bury him under the prison. What if Joe Biden's on the list? Good, bury him under the prison. What if Obama's on the list? Good, bury him under the prison. We're not loyal to politicians like y'all are, and that's one thing that they don't seem to understand. They think that it's a smart argument. They're like, well, we'll go after your guys too. Fine. We have no problem with our guys being put in jail, put in prison, being locked up, or worse, if they are a bunch of kid touchers. We have no problems with that. It's only y'all who will support your pedophile in chief. Moon Girl, hey Moon Girl, over on Twitch. Barack is too faithful to Michelle. I agree. I don't believe that Obama is on that list. I would be very surprised to see if he was on the list. Would I be surprised if Bill Clinton was on a list? Probably not. I mean, I'd be disappointed, but, you know, he is not one known to have, you know, high morals when it comes to sexual proclivities. Then again, you know, but I mean, usually, you know, I would argue that as long as you're not trying to make your, as long as you're not trying to stop me from doing it is whatever I want to do. That's weird. I didn't get the sound for Aaron resubscribing for 19 months, but we do get the stars. That's very weird. I don't know why that didn't happen. Joe Biden is on the list. AutoPen might be, though. Hilarious. But yeah, like, you know, I wouldn't be shocked, or I would be just disappointed, but I wouldn't be ultimately like, you know, because again, most politicians are garbage, regardless of whether or not they're on my side of the aisle or not. But, you know, it's just a matter of, are those garbage people going to vote for what I want them to vote for? And that's typically where I rest on where I am. The only time I will call out anybody else's sexual proclivities and is if, they're doing so in a hypocritical way, i.e. they're trying to make certain things illegal, but then they are, you know, because of sexual morality, but then they can't follow their own sexual morality because they need government to do so. I will absolutely criticize somebody on that. And if they violate consent. If you violate consent, then I have no use for you. I'm done with you. So if there's evidence that you violated consent, done. Like real hard evidence. Because, you know, what happened with, like, you know, Tara Reid or whatever, she came forward, she told her story, and she should have been, you know, allowed to come forward and tell her story and be listened to without prejudging what she's going to say. But then the story came out and everyone was kind of like, you know, only people who really believed the story were the people who wanted the story to be true because they didn't like Joe Biden. Because as I said before, everybody should be listened to when they come forward with an accusation such as that. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be telling the truth, though most probably will be, because there's no evidence that the rate of false accusations is any on those crimes are any different than the rate of false accusations on any other crime. So, see, Alton Gillespie, Bill's behavior helped to defeat Hillary. What, in 2008 or in 2016? Because in 2008 in the primaries, Barack Obama just had a genius political strategy that Bernie Sanders ignored. In 2016, I think people voted against Hillary because she was, or voted for Trump because they were sexist. I think sexism is what helped defeat Hillary Clinton more than what Bill Clinton did. But then again, if Hillary Clinton was being held responsible for Bill Clinton's actions, then guess what? That is sexism in and of itself. So, it is what it is. Hey, Jan, good to see you. It was the deplorable thing, in my opinion. But see, even the deplorable thing was taken out of context. When she referred to the basket of deplorables, she only called half of the supporters deplorables. So, if you were hurt by her calling people deplorables, then maybe that means the shoe fit. You should lace that sumbitch up and wear it if the shoe fits, right? Hit dogs holler, as Andrew Gillum from Florida once said. Other people have said it too, but I remember hit dogs holler from his debate with DeSantis. So, Let's see. Yeah, but clips are clips and people have short attention span. Yeah, but the clip was short. The clip that said half of his supporters are deplorables. She clearly, I mean, that's a very small clip. Half the supporters. And yeah, a lot of people are stupid. A lot of people are easily manipulated. Why do so many people still support Trump? Because people are easily manipulated. So, yeah, we know, Moon Girl, we know Bill is a dog. Yes, and he liked to wag the dog, right? Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what's the other thing we want to talk about? We talked about that. Oh, that's right. We wanted to let's turn off the desktop audio for a second, because I want to be able to open some of these files that I want to react to. There's this one. Let's see. For some reason, that is not. Hold on. Let's sound settings. That's correct. And why am I not hearing that? Are we having problems again? I can hear that. Is it this one? Hold on. That's just more technical difficulties. Jesus Christ. See, girlfriend brought me Chinese, much better than my place. Wow. Nice. What kind of Chinese? What you eating? Chad thinks that what Bill did was gangster. What? The blue dress thing? The cigar thing? What? What did you think then what he did was gangster? Why is this not playing properly? No, it's still not playing properly. Ugh. It's still... what is the problem? And that's also not working right. See, I can hear this. I can hear this with no problem.
It is what it is.
And y'all can hear it too. I know it because I'm seeing it on the thing. But when I'm trying to play this audio right here, it's not playing. And the volume is all the way up. So I don't know what the hell's going on my laptop. So I might just have to do that part of the show another day. Maybe it's an issue of settings. Let's see, sound. Privacy, performance, search engine, devices, maybe? Let's look. Browsing third-party cookies, blah, 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 blah. Site settings, permissions, camera, microphone, additional permissions. What the frick? I don't know. Let's see. Believe it or not, she calls it gas station Chinese, but she gets it from her gas station. It's really good. Interesting. So, see, I really don't know if I can even take calls at this point because we might have the same issue that we had before with the things not working. But let's see. The settings are not even being brought up. That's crazy. Microphone, ringing. Let's turn off the audio again just to make sure this is working right. Test. No. What about the other one? Test. No. Speakers. No. Nope. Having problems again. What a pain in the ass. I wonder if this would work, if just the app would work. No, what about default? What about handset hands-free? No. Wow. Again. What a pain in the ass this is. Oh, wait, there we go. That's working. Then what about... That's working. All right. But then what about the rest of this crap? All right, let's delete. Let's do that. Let's get this here. And what else did I want this to be? Where should this... That should be... No. There. Yeah. There we go. Sorry, I was distracted by Fallout. That's understandable, being a whatever by game. Is the web page tab muted? I don't think so. I don't see that it's muted. Let's see. It does not say that it's muted. I don't want to install YouTube. Is that the thing? Is that the thing I need to do? Is do it this way? Oh, that's not right. No, I don't want to access it with voice. Where is the settings? No. God damn it. This is a pain in my ass. Maybe this is... man. Sound. Settings. Permissions. Oh, I don't need microphone, but I need frickin'... No, I don't want that. More settings and permissions. Where the frick is the speaker? Sound. There we go. Allow. Maybe that's it? I don't know. Well, no, we're not going to do this. Well, we will open up the phone lines, because apparently the phone lines are working. Apparently I can still hear that. So we will go ahead and open up the phone lines. We will go ahead and turn on the audio. If you want to call in, especially if you're conservative, want to debate me tonight, because that'll be fun. 562-LibDan1, 562-LibDan1, 562-542-3261. MJ Daniel, voted for him twice. These are supposed to be Christian family values. What? Who'd you vote for twice? Yeah, Jeff, you can call in if you want. Bring it in. Call in before Big Hook, right? Wrong browser. Maybe it's the wrong browser. I don't know, but who knows? What if I do? Wait, what if I do try another browser? That might be another opportunity to do. Don't tell me it'll work in Edge. Let's close that. Oh, that's right. I can still. Copy. Paste. As we're waiting for calls. Nope, it's still not working. Sound settings again. See, and that's weird too, because that's not... Choose where to play sounds. Headphones. Maybe, hold on. Is it this one? No, it's not that one either. Hey, Boston Brine Raid. Good to see you, Marie. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Do I use your... Yeah, I use OBS, and OBS is fine. The OBS audio is working with no problem.
Oh my.
It is what it is.
See, OBS is working perfectly fine. It's just the other issue. It's just the... whatchamacallit. That I'm not even hearing the sound through my headphones. Like right now, like I'm playing It Is What It Is right now, and you're not hearing it because I've muted the desktop audio. So, do I just need to add another audio? Audio input capture, headphones. It's just audio output to capture. Is it audio input or output? It's output that I need. But no, that's... This is just a pain. But it's not. But it's not even that, because the problem is not OBS. The problem is it isn't OBS. The problem is the headphones not hearing it. So OBS is not hearing it because the headphones aren't hearing it. So crazy. See, MJ Daniel, hello from Washington. Just got back from eating dinner at the Nisqually Public Boat Launch, watching the seals and birds, nice and cool water, and Boston Brian Raid. Hey, P-dubs. Again, thank you for everybody. It's the Goddess Kimchi. How are you doing? I didn't see you hop in there. Good to see you, Kimchi. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who was watching Boston Brian, who's coming over now and watching Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right. See, I use Loopback with app with OBS. I'll have to look into that, simply because is Loopback like another form of virtual like audio cables or whatever? Evie's aunt. Hello, Evie's aunt. Need to go to bed soon. It's almost 11 p.m. Lullaby and good night. La 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 la. Anyway, let me Loopback. Let me make a note of the Loopback app in my notes, and then we will see. We will take a note of that later. Back application. Check it out. So, says cannot complete call. Really? Oh, there we go. Well, it says cannot complete call, but there's a... Hey, Big Hook.
Hi, how you doing today, Dan?
I think you already know today's a shit day for me, but, you know, generally I'm alive, I'm here, I have a wonderful family, and great listeners. So, I guess what else can I say, right?
Well, as soon as I say something, I know that somebody else will try phoning in and relentlessly beep your...
Well, that person
there,
is
so.
that person is blocked, so that person can no longer do it unless they get another phone number. But yes, let's go ahead and actually turn off the call-in thing just to make sure people know now's not the time to call in. We will turn it back on once you hang up. So to answer Chad's question, the sound meter moves when like Big Hook is talking or when I play, you know,
It is what it is.
that, but it doesn't play when I'm doing things like, you know, trying to play this stupid audio that I want to play. But
yeah.
anyway.
I was suggesting maybe if you had a cell phone or something that you could turn the audio up. Maybe you could play it through the mic if nothing else, right? So
I'd rather be able to see have it not be weird, because I want to be able to also see the video as I'm doing the reaction and post it. So we'll figure out what the heck's going on with it. I don't know if it's it could be a issue with my earbuds, because that was the issue last time. But clearly, it's working today, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, you know. All plans go to shit when you definitely want it to work, right?
Exactly.
So that's just Murphy's Law in general.
As opposed to Cole's Law, which is, you know, cabbage and other types of seasonings, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. You guys, like, the thing that gets me right now is it's all out in the open. It's so, you know, you've got ICE violating people's rights, beating the crap out of people, you know, getting directly out of the car with guns drawn on every single thing. You know, they got their masks up and everything else. You know, they basically have one little thing on their vest that says HSI or ICE, and I mean that's supposed to be your identification. That's fucking horse shit.
Hell, even ICE is unrealistic at this point, because usually it's not even that they have anything saying who they are, which I think would be if people were really truly patriots and wanted to protect their fellow citizenry, all the pro Second Amendment gun nuts, they would be the ones out there trying to stop these idiots who are racist bigots or whatever. But like, that's one of my problems with the whole when they have the alligator Dachau memes and they put like the alligator with an ice cap on. I'm like, that's not realistic, because nobody on ICE is going to say, "Hey, I'm ICE." So.
Well, I mean, the thing is, as well, is that they're just shameless. There was that one lady there. She went and she said, "Oh, after the Texas flood thing happened, she was like, "Oh, we're human. We believe in this." And then she put out a plea for help, and a whole bunch of YouTube viewers noticed that she had already put out a previous video that said, "I'm proud. I believe. I want to buy alligator Alcatraz stuff. I want to send all these brown people to jail," and blah blah blah. And it was like, oh, you're just the biggest hypocrite on the planet. It's ridiculous what these people believe. Because let's face it, just about every piece of food that goes on your plate comes probably from an immigrant source, whether it be canned, whether it be picked, whether it be, and that's just it, and if you lock them all up,
right,
or deport them all, who's going to do all this stuff? Which means that there'll be less to go around, which means that the demand will necessitate that the prices have to go up, and, your employer isn't going to have any sympathy for you, and your wages aren't going to go up. So what's going to happen?
Right.
The billionaires are making out like bandits. They don't give a fuck. This is stupidity on steroids, as I like to say, because there is, and we still got 3.5 years more of this shit to go through, unless, the midterms manage to take some power away. But, even that, I mean, I don't know what the hell are they teaching these people? Like, it's not just civics, it's just plain education and critical thinking have completely failed. I really worry about this.
Do you remember
stuff.
way back in the day when when you would hear the Republicans talking about the intellectuals? Like, the problem with the Democratic Party is they're full of intellectuals. Like, I mean, that was like back even in like 2000s or whatever. Like, when Al Gore was running for president, like conservatives would always be the ones who would be like mocking intellectualism. I'm like, why do you not want somebody who is president to be an intellectual? I want the president of the country to be that doesn't have to be the smartest person in the room, but has to be smart enough to surround themselves with the smart people and know enough to understand who's a smart person and who's feeding them BS. But I mean, the pushback against intellectualism is, probably the start of, this country just spitting on any sorts of brain power.
That's what I found so disgusting about what they kept saying about Joe Biden. I mean, because, yes, he wasn't the smartest guy there, but he knew he surrounded himself with the very best people. He constantly asked for counsel. He had the counsel of not only himself as well as all the best people, but he had Barack Obama who he could lay counsel to. I mean, even Jimmy Carter, for that matter, he could lay counsel to, and that's the thing. Like, the Democrats go and look for the highest educated people to get opinions and facts and whatnot, so that way they can make a calculated decision. Whereas the Republicans are just like, oh, yeah, whatever the billionaires tell me to do, whatever puts money in their pockets, I'm okay with. And it's like, this is horseshit. Because billionaires don't care if your water is poisoned, if your air is breathable, if the fish die in the ocean or in the lakes and ponds or whatever. They don't care if they, tear up all the trees and whatnot and leave a wasteland behind that then becomes a dust bowl or whatever. I mean, there's just...
Well, the billionaires will be like, even if, like, let's say, if you said over the course of the next 20 years, you could make, millions more dollars if you, in the fact that you still have more paying customers by providing them with healthier options, cleaner water, stuff like that. they're still going to look at it as like, yeah, but it's going to cost me more. It's going to cost me millions of dollars up front to have to spend that, and I'd rather just keep that money to myself, because in the long term, I think Keynes said this, I could be wrong, in the long term, everyone's dead. So they take a basically very look at it as, well, if I can save money in the short term, I don't care how many people die in the short term, because I'm still making my money and I have my golden parachute. So,
well, that's just it. It's about what is sustainable and what isn't, and that's the thing. They don't care about sustainability. They just basically want quick buck, and they think that, oh, well, if I have enough money, the problems come back to haunt me or bite me, I'll just move to another country and start all over again and do it to them, just like I did to here. I mean, that's where we stand right now. The billionaires don't give a fuck about anybody. Let's face it. They shouldn't exist in the first place. That's
True.
the saddest part, because they should be taxed to death, because they already have all the. I mean, let's face it. After you've made whatever, let's say, $50 million, you have everything at your disposal. You could buy the nicest house, you could buy the nicest car, you could buy a very fancy plane, you could do all kinds of things, and still have enough money left over that you could live off the interest the rest of your natural life.
Yep.
There's no reason to be a billionaire, other than, I have power over other people, and I think I'm superior and whatnot. And this is the other thing that gets me, is that the Medicare thing.
Right.
And some conservatives are okay with it, and they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want these able-bodied people to have Medicare.
Big Hook. Say goodbye to Jolie, because Jolie's leaving. So
okay. Okay, bye, Turtle Toes.
I like turtles.
Always a pleasure to have you in my corner.
Love you, Jolie. Have a good night. Anyway, okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Oh, thank you, Chad, for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you.
But this is just it. They don't care about anybody. They should be paying higher taxes. It should be, the patriotic thing to do would be, I am one of the highest people in America who provides for the people, and that it is my pleasure to provide taxes that facilitate the well-being of the people. But the thing about it is the Medicare thing, as I was starting and then got cut off there a little bit, the Republicans are like, oh, I don't care. They all lose it. But by the same token, these same people will go, oh, well, if I lose Medicare, then the black and brown people lose Medicare. And that means that they'll get hurt even more than I am, because they think that they're somehow physically superior and won't get sick or require medical assistance in any way, shape, or form. And it's stupidity on the highest level, where your need for cruelty necessitates the stupidity that's necessary to ruin the nation as a total entity itself. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, what Trump is trying to do is get us all to fight with each other, because he wants to stand above us and watch it and say, oh, go, punch him in the eye, bite his leg, do whatever, because he's being entertained. He's being entertained at us fighting amongst each other, when in fact it should be us fighting against him. Mm-hmm. Because he's got way more than he needs. He has been a criminal his whole life. There's nothing good that's come out of him. And,
literally, I mean,
I
maybe
heard
Tiffany.
The conversation you had with
Tiffany
Chad.
Trump. I don't know. I mean, she might be the best of all the kids that he has, but even then, it's just like, I mean, the look on her face when he tried to hug her, and she's just kind of like, nah, maybe not,
Well, she's afraid she's going to get some of that orange on her. That's probably what.
True.
But as Chad was saying the other day there, when I heard him talking with you, he kept saying, well, it's the adjectives and this and that and the other thing. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I don't know what to believe. And, you know, if I see it, I'll believe it. And
Right.
I keep thinking to myself, you are not going to see it because he does everything behind closed doors. He makes other people do the evil things for him. You know, he doesn't use emails because he knows that that's a trail that'll lead back to him.
Yep.
You know, and the thing is that if you say, oh, I haven't seen him do anything bad to people, you aren't looking very hard, because there's a trail of human misery as well as bodies that follows Trump everywhere he goes. It's bankruptcies. It's all the contractors that went under when he refused to pay them at the casinos, or, you know, I mean, it's everywhere. You know, there are constant evidence that, you know, it's not a coincidence that whenever something horrible happens to lots of people, that Trump's name somehow comes up in the conversation, because guess what? He's always involved. There's always a connection. And you can't say, oh, well, I didn't see it personally. The evidence shows you that he's there. He's
Right.
always there. He's been there since the Central Park Five. He's been there before with the, you know, the discrimination of black people in his housing units and everything. He's one of the most well-documented criminals on the planet.
Right.
And to go and say, oh, well, I voted for him because I don't believe any of that stuff because I didn't see it personally, and it hasn't come to visit me on my doorstep yet.
Right, yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to vote for him. And I'm like, this is stupid. It's like, you know, I don't, and I mean that in the kindest way, because if you refuse to look, it says something about you. You think that you're just like him. You think that you're superior in some way, shape, or form, and that because you think you're superior and you somehow think that he thinks you're superior, that it'll never come to bite you in the ass.
Right.
And that's what bothers me. It's because I see it coming. It's going to bite everybody in the ass. They all think, oh, it's only going to hurt the liberals. It's not going to hurt just the liberals. It's going to hurt everybody.
Right.
You know, I mean...
Well, they're like, as long as it hurts us less, but they don't even know. There's no way to know that. So...
I mean, they said, oh, well, it'll never happen. The row will never fall. Then...
well, I didn't say that.
On.
I said that in 2016, that Roe absolutely was going to fall if Donald Trump got elected. Everyone's like, no, it'll never happen. Roe will stay the law of the land.
You know, and, you know, it's going to be, and that's just it, you know. And then abortion, they'll try and take away abortion, and then they'll say, oh, well, what's the next thing to take away? Oh, contraception.
Yep. And
you know,
Clarence Thomas gave that all out in his agreement with Dobbs,
and when you
where
take away
listed everything off. So.
And when you take away the contraception, you take away the Planned Parenthood, which is also a facility for women's health, as well as, you know, identification and treatment of STDs. Mm-hmm. You know, which means that you now have allowed a public health challenge to occur, you know, and this is just it. It's all short-sighted, bigoted behavior that leads to these awful tragedies, because you can't figure out how shit works. And that's what bugs me. Like, most of us have figured out things got better because science came along and figured out where problems occurred and how we could prevent them from happening, and, you know, ways to overcome difficulties and whatnot. And these people are like, I want to go back to the Stone Age. I want to live in a cave and, play with rocks and sticks. And,
Right.
you know, when life was good, you know, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like, seriously, this is stupid. This is stupid beyond words. Oh, I don't like the color of his skin. I think that determines how smart or how dumb he is or what his abilities are. And hell, if I can't compete with that, then I have to make sure that he's deported because I'm the king of the hill here of this big pile of shit that I'm standing on top of. You know, it's like,
Donald Trump is
what?
like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. He would rule. He would burn everything down if he could rule over the ashes. So.
Well, you know, and that's just it. You know, I have anger and I have pity for all of those people out there who have to endure this stuff because these people are so dumb that they cannot see that they are shooting themselves in the foot. And, you know, sometimes they hit themselves in the foot, but a lot of times they end up missing and they end up hitting other people. And in the meantime, other people get hurt because of the stupidity that they play on. Because, oh, I'm superior in some way, even though there's no, you know, there's no way to see it.
Right.
Because it doesn't get you anywhere. You know? Because most of the intellectual people will see it as you're just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. Or you're being a greedy person because you love money more than you love anything else. And you think that by stealing from others that you will get ahead and not looking at the fact that you are hurting others who don't necessarily have the means to do without with which is basically the bare essentials.
Right.
And I mean, that's just it. He's basically stealing all the bare essentials. This is the thing about healthcare, which bothers me so much, is because that's a basic essential. It's as essential as food, air, and water, necessary for human survival. You know?
Right.
I
mean,
I don't know what else to say.
Because the bare necessities. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, healthcare should be considered something that's a necessity. But then again, we have freaking CEOs in America who, like, was it a Nestle CEO who didn't believe that people had a right to water? Like that he, if he could get the water and, you know, whatever, he should be able to sell it, and people don't have a right to drink water. Like, water is
well, we have
the fundamental
a lot
thing
of that water
need.
comes from up here in BC, believe it or not. You know, I mean, because it's basically snow melt off that they use that fills up the rivers and the reservoirs here, and Nestle bottles a lot of their water up here in BC and sends it all over the place. You know, and they got
250 kilo ohm over on Twitch says, is it population control or just theft? I'm like, yes, it's both.
But yeah, I'm shaking my head. I'm looking in disbelief. You know, Politics Girl had a great guest on yesterday, and he was saying ICE is the lowest of the low of law enforcement. They have the lowest entry requirements. They have the worst training specifications. I think, as I said last time, all you need to be is a U.S. citizen as well as the ability to hold a gun permit. And, you know, and let's face it, the job interview has got to be, oh, do you hate black and brown people?
Yep.
If so, you're welcome. We'll take you on. And, you know, at this point, the only thing that they haven't said is, oh, do you hate Asian people yet? Because that'll be what'll happen next. Because then it'll filter down to them next.
Well, it's already happening to them. It already happened. But we already had the one guy, Kim. Yeah,
the Filipinos, yes, and the Koreans.
There's the Filipinos from the cruise ship, and then there's the Korean from, you know, the PhD student. Yeah, so I mean, it's they're going after more than just the Hispanic folks already. And I mean, you had the Iranian woman in New Orleans who was, you know, Persian, who was, you know, could not go back to her home country, but was allowed to stay here for a while. But then they were like, nope, we're gonna scoop her up and we're gonna detain her and shockingly enough, they let her out, but they're still investigating it. But why? There's no reason to, other than the fact that you're a freaking bigot. Or Trump's a freaking bigot, I should say.
Well, what worries me is that you guys don't have your elections for, what is it, almost another year and a half. And the amount of damage that can be done in that time is unreal, because he hasn't slowed down. If anything, he's accelerating the amount of damage that he's doing. And the other thing is that he used the first term to figure out who the real government people were, and those who were serving the public and didn't have any loyalty to whatever party was possibly in there, and that they wanted to serve the public in general as a whole, and that they wanted to follow rules and regulations to protect people, to provide the services necessary to do regular business, regular life in an orderly manner that makes sense and, allows, life to continue sustainably.
Mm-hmm.
And he figured out who all those people were. And then he fucking took Elon Musk and his Doge crew and sent them out to basically obliterate all these people, and then put in all these partisan hacks who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, and put them in these positions where, they don't know anything. And then on top of that, they went and they're taking the rules and regulations for those government departments and rewriting them. And they're being rewritten by these oligarchs who say, oh, well, this regulation gets in the way and that regulation gets in the way, and here we're going to change the rules for investigations of violations and everything else and whatnot. And I mean, he is dismantling government on an accelerated.
Absolutely.
And
wait, hold on. To answer somebody's question in chat first before I forget, somebody asked if ICE agents make more than teachers, which
they do.
Yeah, they do. And just here's the numbers. Entry level ICE makes $48,371 is the entry level for an ICE agent at a GL7. Average starting salary for a teacher in the U.S. is $46,526. The median ICE salary is between like $63,000 and $79,000, whereas the median salary for a teacher is $63,000. And here's the kicker. Here's what should have everybody just puking their guts out. The top 10% of teachers earn more than $102,000 annually. The top 10% of ICE agents can earn like over $200,000. So yeah, that's a huge problem. That tells us where our priorities are. That literally just tells us where we would rather pay people to deport people than to teach people.
But the thing is that back in the day, before Stephen Miller went and completely just, reimagined ICE into what it is now, which is a complete shit show.
Right.
They used to go out and they used to say, we need to find the people that are criminals amongst the population. And if these guys are basically immigrants who are here without a valid work permit or whatever, and you had ongoing investigations which required tons and tons of man hours, and they were doing a real service. So their justification is that they were protecting the public from the worst of the worst within the immigrant community. And that was their mission. And now it's anybody that doesn't look like they belong here is less than 2 shades darker than white. They got to go.
Right.
And it's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. And these people know that it's wrong. But that's the thing. These guys are bragging when we hear these people who get a chance to talk to their lawyers, they say, these guys beat the crap out of me, tackled me, tased me, put pepper spray in my face. Then when they got me in the car, they said, oh, yeah, we're having a great day. We got 30 of them today. And, and we're going to, boy, that $30,000 bonus, signing bonus is going to really help, And then on top of that, I get free federal health care and a pension and everything else. And it's like, I mean, these Yahoo racists are, this is their dream. It's a fantasy. And the worst part is that we're going to have to go and clean this all up. And we're going to have to fire these guys and everything else. But they found a workaround. Oh, everybody wear masks. Everybody refuse to identify yourself. Everybody, I'll bet you all the paperwork probably says agent, zoom, 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 zoom. And then it's in a, and the only way to know who the actual agent is within a database, which is encrypted and which I'm betting will be deleted when Trump is out of power. So that way there'll be absolutely zero accountability. And then these guys will take off their masks and say, oh, I guess we return back to regular business. And, and that's what gets me, because they all act like they don't have a conscience because they think that they're going to get away with it. They're criminals who have been empowered by the law to do this stuff, and they're hurting people. This is a gangster association that, is basically going out there and literally doing lynchings, and that's what gets me, because this is all lawful KKK lynchings under the guise of the federal government. And,
I understand you. I completely understand you. All right. Don't want to go too terribly long because I was already kind of half exhausted.
Well, give somebody else a chance.
Well, I may not reopen the lines back up simply because I have a couple of things I want to talk about, especially including addressing something that Chad had brought up on Monday that I think I posted a video about this, but I want to go into it in more detail on this one as well. So anything else you want to finish up with before we let you go?
Not with polite language.
Fair enough. All right, man. Anyway. Well, thank you so much. And look, I don't know if I'm going to be on the air Monday, simply because at 8 p.m. my time, which is usually when I start the show, is when I have to start my prep for my colonoscopy, and I really don't know if I want to have to run to the bathroom in the middle of the show. So I don't know how long it'll take me to get it. So there may not be a show Monday, but we may do it another day. We'll see. But anyway, thank you so much.
No worries, Dan. Thanks for your time and the platform that you offer, because it definitely makes me feel better that I can talk to people and make them understand what's going on inside my head, because otherwise I feel like I'm screaming into the void and I'm just getting angrier and angrier with no recourse. So
I feel it. I'm glad you call in. Most people who listen to the show love it. Hopefully we could expand our reach, your reach, my reach, as the algorithms help the show grow. So, but thank you so much. You have a great rest of your night. All right.
You too. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Let's do that first before we hang up. And there we go. Wait, who is bringing up springtime? Springtime for Hitler in Germany. Do, 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 do. Brought up by 250 kilo ohm over on the Twitch chat. Anyway, so Chad, as I confirmed, brought up on June in 2025 is we ran a surplus because tariff receipts were surging. We're going to take a look at that for a second. CNBC, this is an example of why we need new media, because CNBC says Treasury posts unexpected surplus in June as tariffs receipts surge. Now, I was all ready, and I was all ready to respond to Chad about this the last time, and I completely forgot to do it, but when I ended the show, and I was going to show this graph right here. showing that at the end of January, or mid-January 2025, the dollar index was about 110, and now the dollar index is about 99. So we're about 10, or the spending power of the dollar is 10% less compared to the other currencies across the world. So basically I was like, well, and then we brought in like what, 520 something $billion or whatever in overall tax revenue in the month of June. And if we, and 10% of that is like 52 billion or whatever. So my issue was, why is it great if we brought in a surplus of 26 billion if our spending power is 10% less, and we actually, as overall whole, with all that money that we brought in, we would be able to only buy 50 billion less in items or whatever with the revenue that we brought in. But that was ignoring the most important part. That was ignoring why this comment right here is on the part of CNBC is fucking dumb. And why is it fucking dumb? Because the only reason that the United States of America ran a surplus for June, it wasn't unexpected, as CNBC says. The only reason that we ran a surplus in June, and of course the Trump administration won't tell you this, the only reason we ran that surplus is because normally our expenditures that we would normally pay are paid out June 1st. But because of when June 1st fell in the week, we actually made those payments that would have been made on June 1st in May. So according to Trump's numbers that are now being basically manipulated because the money that would have been spent on June expenses was spent in May, they're now able to magically say, we ran a surplus. No, you adjust and actually spend that money that was supposed to be spent in June on June 1st instead of at the end of May, we would have had still a multi-billion-dollar deficit, like 70-something billion dollars in deficit because of the amount of money that we spent the month before. Us running a surplus is sheer manipulation of the data, coming from the same person who, during the COVID pandemic, when he was in Tulsa and killing Herman Cain or whatever, he kept on saying, we need to stop testing, because if you have more testing, you have more cases. Of course, we all know on this show, if you've listened to the show, you understand why that's dumb. It's dumb because if people have the COVID-19 virus, they have it regardless of whether or not you test for it or not. Testing just reveals the cases that already exist. But Donald Trump wanted to manipulate the data so that he could make everybody think that we're doing much better than what we were doing back then. So he was more than willing to slow down testing to show fewer numbers so that he could get away with the lie that, you know, we were doing better under COVID in that particular month or whatever. So, and just like now, he had the lie that we ran a surplus in June, but the only reason we ran a surplus in June is because of that. It's why I don't believe anything else he says. It's why when he says, you know, oh, border encounters are down, so our border is sealed, we've done a great job on the border. No, don't believe that either, because all of the ICE agents, all of the Border Patrol agents are not at the border. They're at cruise ships, or they're arresting people on cruise ships, or they're arresting somebody who's, you know, they're not at the southern border between Mexico and us. They're in Norfolk, Virginia on a Carnival Cruise Line, or in San Francisco's airport detaining somebody who smoked marijuana in 2011 instead of focusing on the people who are crossing the border, because to them, they would rather actually have the people cross the border and not have us know about it, thinking that we're a bunch of idiots believing them, which a good chunk of us are pretty much. So then he could say, oh, well, we found these other people, and then now we can deport them, because the MAGA folks don't actually care about seeing the numbers of the people stopped at the border, although they're buying the idea that the border is closed. But the only reason that the border is closed is because the encounters are down, and the encounters are down because they're choosing to do their activities in other locations. But the MAGA folks get off on it more when people actually get deported instead of people actually, you know, being prevented from entering the country in the first place. It's more visible. It's more visceral. It's something that they love to see. So, of course, Donald Trump is going to do that instead of the other thing. So this is one of the many reasons why you should never believe anything coming out of this administration in the first place. And like, I wasn't doubting you, Chad, when you said that there was a surplus, simply because you were given the information that you were told. And Freaking news sites like CNBC went ahead of the Treasury Post unexpected surplus. Of course it was expected, because they spent the money the month before, and thinking that enough people would believe it that they could get away with another lie. But, unfortunately not enough people listen to Liberal Dan Radio talk from the left, that's right, because if they did, they would understand why this administration is full of shit. Anyway, that's that. Let's see. What is saying? Josh, I definitely smoked marijuana in 2011. I did not, I don't think. So, I mean, imports might have been fewer, but still, they're claiming tariffs were the reason why things went up. And imports were probably fewer because tariffs were up, so demand was less. Demand for those imports were less because the tariffs were up. But they're trying to take credit for the tariffs being the cause of the tax, being the cause of the surplus, but the cause of the surplus was just us spending money a few days early because of a weekend or whatever. So, texting is a condom on a conversation? What? I don't know. Hey! I just hit my freaking printer again. Chad, you are right about this one, Dan, and I am wrong. Hey, maybe that's an answer to one of your questions. Your question for how could a liberal and conservative be friends? The one way that, liberals and conservatives could get along is that if somebody presents data that shows one of them that their information is incorrect, and the other one, instead of digging in their heels and say, well, nuh-uh, if the other one dug in the other one said, oh, yes, you brought new cogent facts to the conversation, and as such, I'm going to change my mind. That's one of the ways that liberals and conservatives can have a better chance of getting along together, because we can be honest with each other. And if we can be honest with each other, that's one of the many ways that you could form friendships. If you don't have the ability to be honest with each other, then you're never going to have a friendship in the first place. So I guess that's the first answer to the question that I just came up with just now. Anyway, we're not going to do the reaction videos or whatever that I wanted to do because it's getting too late for that. But I did want to talk about one other thing, which was actually probably one of the highlights of the last couple of days when it came to me and my interactions with people online and all that good stuff. Which is, I happened to see a TikTok of somebody who I was friends with on TikTok, whatever, we follow each other. And the woman was very much just like, somebody called her out on fat shaming. And they were basically not bringing any facts, responding with text. She doubled down on the idea of, that she doesn't give a crap about this individual simply because of the fact that, he wants to take food away from people, from kids. He doesn't have a problem with the people who are in, detention centers starving, whatever. Basically a deplorable person. One of the people who were aptly and correctly named a deplorable, or would have been at the time. But I came up and said, hey, I'm a morbidly obese leftist person here. I mean, I may have lost 120 pounds, but still I'm a morbidly obese person here from the left. And I want to tell you that regardless of how we feel about the individual, that fat shaming is always wrong. And I went into I gave bits and pieces of like opinions and facts or whatever. I basically was like, look, we don't care about, I don't care about the feelings of Donald Trump or that other Republican legislator or whatever. But I don't even think they have feelings in the first place. They don't care. But the other people who are on your side, who might hear you berating people for being obese, for being overweight, for whatever, and mocking them for doing so, are probably going to sit there and be like, you know what? This person is not a safe person to be around because they are willing to look at somebody and insult them simply because they're obese. And the other thing I brought up was the whole, if somebody was abused as a child, sexual, physical, emotional, verbal, whatever, those people, especially on, the worst side of that, people who were abused as children are twice as likely to be morbidly obese than people who weren't. And one of the reasons why, obviously, is because kids, when they deal with pain like that or issues like that, they don't have typically the ability to go get drunk or go use illegal substances or what have you. But they do have access to is candy, cookies, sugar, soft drinks, chips, whatever, and they can just load on all those calories, and then that causes them to be obese. So when you're mocking somebody else for being morbidly obese, that you have to understand that you may very well be mocking somebody who is a victim of abuse. And even if that person wasn't a victim of abuse, the other people who hear you mocking the obese people in this country or overall, they're going to be like, yeah, again, you're not a safe person. You're not a person that I can trust. You're not a person that you're somebody who's going to look down on me simply because I'm fat. And to her credit, she was like, Chad was, you're right. I was wrong. I apologize. You brought up some very good, cogent points, and I appreciate you for bringing this to my attention. And she like copiously apologized and like on text in her video, in another video that she made. She thanked me for it, and I didn't need to thanks or whatever. But I'm simply just glad that I was able to use my voice to be able to at least convince somebody that how they were acting was wrong, how they were acting was bad, how they were acting could be harmful to people. And the fact that she was willing to listen and understand and change her point of view based off of something I said to her made me feel very good about myself. It made me feel like I was actually having a positive change in the world, even if it's just one person. And for a brief second, I was like, well, maybe I should, be less concerned with the volume of listeners that I have or the volume of people watching my show. And I should be more concerned with the quality of interactions that I have with people on my show. Of course, the other side of that is like fewer people will hear what I'm saying if I don't have a bigger audience, and maybe it might be beneficial and useful for more people to hear some of the things that I'm saying. If I can convince her, maybe I could convince other people as well. So, but it was a brief little happy moment, I guess, in these past couple of days where I was able to just look and say, I made a difference in this one person's life. I made a difference in how this person views the world, and I might have helped this person become a better person because of simply the fact that I didn't go at her, I didn't attack her, I didn't, start yelling at her immediately. I just gave her the benefit of the doubt and just gave her my explanation. And, I try to do that with a lot of people, except for the people who prove that they are just won't listen, and then I start yelling. But, it just made me feel good about myself that I was able to have that positive impact on somebody else. So, and maybe because you listen to me, you might be able to make the same argument to somebody else who might be fat shaming other people who might not have thought of the other things that I brought up as well. So anyway, just a little tidbit of goodness that did happen over the course of the few days or whatever. Anyway, stop recording that one. And just, even though we're not going to watch this video, maybe it'll be a teaser for the next time I go on the air because it may not be Monday, but
this woman ended the reparation.
Look, we actually got to hear the sound, so I actually fixed the problem. I'm an IT. What do you want? I can eventually figure it out. It's part of the conversation I was having today with my other coworkers who was trying to help me deal with my issue with the Git repository was simply the fact that maybe one of the reasons that Microsoft and all these other big companies make things so difficult is to keep people like us employed, in which case maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But my life would be made much easier if I didn't have to track down silly stuff to have to deal with other stuff as well. Anyway. So a big hook, what I find could bring conservatives and liberals together is shared activities like a barbecue, fishing, or sports activity with no political discussion relating our family values or stories. Yeah, maybe, but then again, how many people who voted, who are staunch MAGA types, how many of those people, and I'm not going to call Chad a staunch MAGA type because, again, I believe that Chad is wiggleable. If that, I don't know if that's the right word to say.
Oh my.
I mean, Impeccable Living might have a different idea of what wiggleable might mean, but, even though he did vote for Trump, I do believe that he is somebody who is capable of hearing another opinion and changing his mind because of it. And, and I'm glad, one example was today, but, I think that, but many other MAGA folks, there are very few MAGA folks who I know who are just still adamantly supporting Trump, who I would feel safe around in many circumstances. If I know it, like I wouldn't want to invite them over to my house. There's maybe a few who I know are still staunchly in that camp, but because I know them for a long time, I think that they haven't been convinced that he's a piece of shit, but I do think they would still have my back if they finally were convinced that he was a piece of shit. Josh says, Chad isn't caustic. Good way to put it. Thank you, Marie, for the $3 super sticker. Appreciate you. Thank you for that as well. Also, thank you again for Chad for the super chat as well. Every little bit helps. I'm glad I don't need a new laptop at this very point, but then again, you know, don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood. Please don't break laptop or whatever. But anyway, oh yeah, 250 kilo. You want to focus on your prep. I was like, what prep? I'm like, oh yeah, the colonoscopy prep. It's not that I want to focus on it. I really don't want to focus on it, but I don't want to have to be like, all of a sudden have my stomach go, and then be like, gotta go, bye. So anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll probably end with a couple of Tom Lehrer songs as well. Thank you, Dean, for the $2 super chat sticker, whatever. Appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. So as we are heading off, we will play a couple more of my reimagining of Tom Lehrer songs. And again, videos that you like, if you watch it, like it, comment, share. I mean, there are tons of videos out there that I've made that only have a few likes on them, and we have 23 concurrent viewers. So if you could just go like a couple videos a day, that would probably help out the algorithm at least some. So thank you all so much for everything that y'all do. Just simply being in the chat and typing words in the chat should also help the algorithm. But again, probably no show on Monday simply because of the colonoscopy prep. So wish me good luck for that. It's probably going to be a very shitty situation, but it's needed because, you know, I'm getting old. Getting old sucks, but it is what it is. Oh, wait, sorry. That's Trump's line.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. But anyway, thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Unless something big happens by the end of the week, talk to you probably Wednesday. Until then, peace.
The bomb, so don't wait up for me. But while you swelter down there in your shelter, you can see me on your TV while we make a necropolis. Watch George Stephanopoulos describing all the populace and cities we have lost. No need for you to miss a minute of the nuclear holocaust. Little Johnny Jones, he was a U.S. pilot, and no shrinking violet was he. He was mighty proud when World War III was declared. He wasn't scared, no siree. And this is what he said on his way to Armageddon. So long, Mom, I'm off to drop the bomb. So don't wait up for me, but though I may roam, I'll come back to my home. Although it may be a pile of debris, remember, Mommy, I'm off to get a commie. So send me a salami and try to smile somehow. I'll look for you when the war is over, an hour and a half from now. When someone makes a move of which we don't approve, who is it that always intervenes? You and NOASA have their place, I guess, but first send the Marines. We'll send them all we've got, John Wayne and Randolph Scott. Remember those exciting fighting scenes to the shores of Tripoli, but not to Mississippi. What do? We send the Marines. For might makes right until they've seen the light. They've got to be protected, all their rights respected, till somebody we like can be elected. Members of the Corps all hate the thought of war. They'd rather kill them off by peaceful means. Stop calling it aggression. Ooh, we hate that expression. We only want the world to know that we support the status quo. They love us everywhere we go. So when in doubt, send Marines. suffering is here. Life is Skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you?
Of course you do.
But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. All the world sings in tune on a spring afternoon when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we poison the pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated with cyanide. The sun's shining bright, everything seems alright when we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We've gained notoriety and caused much anxiety in the Audubon Society. With our games, they call it impiety and lack of propriety, and quite a variety of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if Sunday you're free, why don't you come with me and we'll poison the pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. And maybe we'll do in a squirrel or two while we're poisoning pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter at merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickening with each drop of strychnine. Me feed to a pigeon, it just takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park. The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, 'cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest.